In the high-octane world of underground drag racing, few names have echoed as loudly as Kye Kelley. With his sharp reaction times, relentless competitive drive, and southern grit, Kye surged into public consciousness through Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws, a reality series that opened the floodgates to a hidden subculture of rubber-burning, street-legal racers who built their reputations not in luxury garages, but on cracked pavement and late-night streets. From the moment Kelley pulled up in the Shocker, his signature Chevy Camaro, it was clear he wasn't just another driver looking for a spotlight. He was racing for something deeper: survival, identity, redemption. But behind the roar of the engines and under the dim lights of the race strip, the story of Kye Kelley is far more layered, and infinitely more painful, than any one race could reveal. This isn't just a tale of speed and skill. It's a story of personal battles, the mental pressure of being in the limelight, the physical toll of pushing a body and machine beyond their limits, and the emotional agony of heartbreak, family struggles and health crises. This is the untold story, not just of a racer, but of a man whose life has been defined by resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. To understand what really happened to Kye Kelley, we must explore more than just race results or TV episodes. We need to confront the private moments, the nights he thought about quitting, the losses that haunted him, the injuries he never disclosed, and the strength he found when life stripped away all his defenses. We'll look at the health concerns that fueled speculation, the mental burnout that almost ended his racing career, and the tragedies that reshaped the course of his life. We'll journey through his humble beginnings, the volatile rise to reality TV stardom, and the roller coaster of emotions that came with public life. We'll examine the cost of fame, the struggles with health, the private heartbreaks, and the life-threatening dangers that come with underground street racing. Born on May 18, 1985, Kye was raised in a household that had little money, but no shortage of resilience. His father, a hard-working man who struggled to provide, was largely absent from Kye's life. This void had a significant impact on him. It forced him to mature early and step up where others may have faltered. His mother, Kye Kelley, became the primary influence in his life, a steadfast figure who worked multiple jobs just to keep the family afloat. Kye often credits her with teaching him the values that would shape his identity: honesty, grit, perseverance, and loyalty. Growing up, Kye quickly learned that if you wanted something in life, you had to work for it. And for him, that something wasn't fame or fortune, it was speed. As a child, he was fascinated with anything that had an engine. From dirt bikes to lawnmowers, if it moved, he wanted to make it faster. That raw, unfiltered curiosity was the first spark of the obsession that would come to define his entire existence. Kye's fascination with racing didn't come from television or flashy magazines. It was born from real life, from watching older boys drag race down dusty roads and from sneaking out to catch underground races just beyond the town limits. He was just a teenager when he first started modifying vehicles. His first car wasn't a prize-winning machine, it was a Chevy 2 Nova, held together with more hope than horsepower. But to Kye, it was the beginning of everything. He didn't have money for performance parts or a professional mechanic to guide him. What he had was instinct, a few tools, and an obsessive need to learn. He would spend long hours in the garage, sometimes entire nights, teaching himself how engines worked, experimenting with parts, and fine-tuning his driving style. His knowledge didn't come from textbooks or YouTube videos. It came from trial and error, from breaking things, and from slowly figuring out how to put them back together again, only stronger. By the time he reached his late teens, Kye had earned a reputation around town. He was the guy to beat in illegal backroad races. He was fast, fearless, and always fine-tuning his vehicle to gain a split-second advantage. And while many dismissed street racing as a reckless hobby, for Kye, it was more than that. It was the only thing that gave him control over his life. Behind the wheel, he wasn't poor, fatherless, or directionless. He was unstoppable. But street racing didn't pay the bills. After high school, Kye had a tough decision to make. College wasn't an option. He had no money, no scholarships, and no backup plan. So he did what many young men from Magnolia did. He took to the oil fields of South Mississippi and Louisiana. Working in the oil industry was grueling, dangerous, and backbreaking. Kye found himself putting in 12 to 16-hour shifts, often under the blazing southern sun. He hauled heavy equipment, crawled through mud, and risked injury daily. But he never complained. To him, this was just another challenge. He earned a reputation in the fields the same way he did on the streets, through hard work and hustle. Eventually, Kye worked his way up to become a supervisor at a petroleum refinery. He was making steady money, but it came with a price: time. Time away from racing. Time away from family. Time away from himself. Despite the long shifts and brutal labor, Kye still made time to race on the weekends. He saved every extra dollar he could, not for luxuries or vacations, but for car parts, camshafts, headers, turbos, anything that could help him shave off milliseconds on the drag strip. Every paycheck was an investment in his dream. As his reputation grew, so did the stakes. Kye began putting together what would become his signature car, a third-generation Camaro he dubbed the Shocker. It wasn't the prettiest car on the block, but it was deadly. Built with care and precision, the Shocker became the physical embodiment of Kye Kelley himself. Raw, rugged, and dangerously fast. Kye's builds weren't just about power, they were about efficiency and strategy. He had an intuitive sense for tuning, knowing just how much power to push through the tires without losing control, how to adjust for road conditions, and how to psych out his competitors before the green light even dropped. These weren't skills he could teach, they were earned, race by race, failure by failure. His reputation began to spread beyond Magnolia. Racers from neighboring states began hearing about this Kelley guy from Mississippi, who never backed down and rarely lost. It was only a matter of time before television producers took notice. When Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws began branching out from Oklahoma City and started looking for new blood in New Orleans, Kye Kelley's name rose to the top of the list. Producers were looking for authenticity. Someone who lived and breathed the street racing lifestyle. What they got in Kye was more than they expected. A man who embodied everything Street Outlaws was trying to represent. He was rough around the edges, unapologetically Southern, and brutally competitive. But he was also charismatic in his own quiet way, humble, hardworking, and absolutely relentless on the strip. Kelley made his television debut on Street Outlaws, New Orleans in 2015, and it didn't take long for audiences to fall in love with his underdog charm and tenacity. For Kye, it was surreal. In just a few years, he had gone from wrenching on beat-up cars in a dusty garage to racing in front of millions of viewers across America. But behind the camera, his life was still far from glamorous. He was still battling financial instability, still struggling with personal relationships, and still risking everything for the only thing that made him feel truly alive. Kye Kelley never set out to be a television star. He was a racer first, one who lived for the adrenaline, the sound of burning rubber, and the thrill of beating the guy in the next lane. But as the underground world of drag racing began catching mainstream attention, so did Kye. In 2014, everything changed when the producers of Street Outlaws came calling. At the time, Street Outlaws was centered around the Oklahoma City crew, with drivers like Big Chief and Daddy Dave dominating the spotlight. But Discovery Channel wanted to expand the franchise and tap into other hotbeds of street racing. One of those places was New Orleans, and Kye Kelley was already a legend in the South. When Kye was invited to race against OKC's Big Chief in a special event filmed for TV, he didn't flinch. The cameras were rolling, the stakes were sky high, and the streets were packed with fans and racers alike. Most outsiders crumbled under the pressure. Kye didn't. In that first televised race, he beat Big Chief, a moment that shocked the established hierarchy and made fans across the country take notice. That win wasn't just luck. It was the product of years of hard work, wrenching on the Shocker, and developing a razor-sharp instinct at the starting line. The victory launched Kye into the public eye, and it earned him a spot in the Street Outlaws universe. Soon after, he became the centerpiece of Street Outlaws, New Orleans, a spin-off series that focused on the Gulf Coast racing scene. Kye's TV presence was a little different from the loud, brash personalities viewers were used to. He wasn't about trash talk or theatrics. He was calm, calculated, and dead serious when it came to racing. That authenticity won over fans. Kye quickly became one of the most respected drivers in the franchise, not just for his performance, but for how he carried himself. He helped build up the New Orleans racing crew, attracting talented drivers and encouraging others to step up. But his own driving remained the highlight. Whether it was on the street or the strip, Kye was always a contender. He became known for his incredible reaction times, his precise tuning of the Shocker, and his ability to adapt to unpredictable racing conditions. But success didn't come without challenges. The more races he won, the more rivals he created. The OKC crew didn't take their losses lightly, and other drivers began gunning for Kye with everything they had. He was now in the spotlight, and the pressure to perform was heavier than ever. Kye also had to learn how to navigate the world of reality TV. Cameras followed him not just to races but into his personal life. Every win, every breakdown, and every mistake was broadcast to millions. He handled it as best he could, staying true to who he was, but it wasn't always easy. He often said he missed the days when racing was just racing, when it wasn't about ratings or fan reactions, just two cars and a finish line. Despite the stress, Kye kept pushing. He wasn't just a good racer, he was becoming one of the best. As Street Outlaws, no prep kings emerged, focusing on track racing with no prep surfaces. Kye proved he could dominate in both street and strip environments. He became a regular threat at every event and a fan favorite wherever he went. The rise to stardom brought more recognition than Kye ever imagined. Fans lined up at events to meet him.
Kids wore his merchandise.
He was invited to interviews, podcasts, and expos. For a guy who once worked 16-hour shifts in the oil fields and spent weekends fixing up junkyard cars, it was all surreal. Yet through it all, he stayed grounded. Kye Kelley wasn't interested in being a celebrity. He was interested in being fast, and he never forgot where he came from. As Kye Kelley's fame skyrocketed, so did the pressures that came with it. On the surface, he was living the dream, racing on national TV, winning big matches, and earning respect from across the country. But behind the wheel and behind the scenes, Kye's personal life was beginning to unravel. Before joining Street Outlaws, Kye had been married to Elisa Moat, a relationship that began long before the fame. Elisa, a nurse, was one of Kye's early supporters. The two had a daughter together, Kennedy, who quickly became Kye's greatest source of pride. He often said that becoming a father changed everything. It gave him someone to race for, someone to inspire. But balancing a high-stakes racing career and a family life is no easy task. The long hours on the road, filming commitments, and mechanical failures that ate away at his time left little room for personal connection. His marriage began to strain under the weight of his growing celebrity and constant absence. By 2017, Kye and Elisa divorced. It was a devastating blow, one that took a toll on him emotionally. Though he stayed involved in Kennedy's life, he often spoke about how much he missed the day-to-day presence of being a father. The pain of not tucking her in every night or helping with homework haunted him in quiet moments. At the same time, the fame that had boosted his racing career started to feel like a trap. Kye was a private person by nature. He never wanted the spotlight to follow him home. But once Street Outlaws gained a massive following, fans and critics alike followed every move he made. Every failed race, every personal misstep, it was all broadcast, dissected, and criticized online.
The mental toll added up.
Kye felt constantly on edge, always under scrutiny. He found it difficult to trust people, unsure if they liked him for who he was or for his fame. He became more withdrawn, spending more time in the garage, away from the noise of the world. His crew noticed it. Friends noticed it. But Kye kept his head down and his heart guarded. Still, he never stopped racing. Even as his personal life fell apart, he poured everything he had into building the shocker better, faster, meaner. Because racing was the only place where he still felt in control. The street racing scene is fueled by more than horsepower. Ego, pride, and rivalry are just as explosive as any nitrous system, and Kye Kelley found himself in the middle of it all. As his profile grew, so did the list of racers eager to knock him down. One of the most publicized rivalries was with Justin Big Chief Shearer, the longtime face of the Oklahoma City crew. Their initial face-off put Kye on the map, but it also sparked a rivalry that stretched across several seasons. Fans debated who was the better racer, and tensions sometimes spilled from the screen into the pits. Though Kye maintained a professional demeanor, not everyone appreciated his rise. Some racers accused him of getting special treatment from producers. Others believed he wasn't truly from the streets anymore and had gone Hollywood. Kye ignored the noise, but the hostility affected him. Behind the scenes, the Street Outlaws franchise wasn't always united. Competition over screen time, race winnings, and promotional opportunities led to cliques forming within the racing community. Kye tried to stay neutral, but as a top contender, he was often caught in the crossfire. Despite the tension, Kye became a leader of the No Prep Kings scene, a spin-off that tested racers on unprepared tracks, stripping away the advantages of money or location. It leveled the field, and Kye thrived. Even those who didn't like him had to respect him. His strategy was always simple: let the car do the talking. And more often than not, it did. Amid personal setbacks, a new light entered Kye's life: Lizzy Musi. A professional drag racer and the daughter of famed engine builder Pat Musi, Lizzy brought a unique mix of elegance and power to the racetrack, and eventually into Kye's heart. Their romance was the talk of the racing world. Not only were they both top-tier competitors, but they were also partners off the track. Kye credited Lizzy with helping him open up emotionally, reconnect with his sense of purpose, and believe in love again after divorce. The couple became an unstoppable duo, both in races and appearances. Fans admired their chemistry, and their relationship seemed to ground Kye in a way nothing else had. They got engaged in 2021, and for a while, life looked promising again. But everything changed in 2023 when Lizzy was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. The news devastated Kye. He shifted gears immediately, from racer to caregiver. Their entire world changed overnight. As Lizzy began chemotherapy and surgeries, Kye was by her side through every appointment, every sleepless night, and every moment of fear. He rarely talked publicly about the toll it took on him, but friends close to the couple said Kye was absolutely wrecked. Racing became secondary. Life became about survival, love, and unwavering support. While Lizzy's cancer fight drew national attention, rumors began swirling about Kye's own health. Fans noticed he looked more fatigued, thinner in some appearances, and less vibrant on social media. Though Kye never issued any public health statements about himself, it became clear he was suffering from exhaustion and emotional burnout. The stress of racing, managing a relationship, being a father, and now supporting Lizzy through her cancer battle was immense. Privately, he was dealing with back problems and chronic pain from years of racing. Street racing isn't easy on the body. Hours of tuning, loading and unloading vehicles, and sitting behind a vibrating engine at high speeds take a toll. Kye was battling physical wear and tear, and some say he had to see doctors frequently to manage the pain. The emotional weight, however, was heavier than anything mechanical. Kye had trouble sleeping, experienced anxiety, and at times, wanted to walk away from racing altogether. But he never did. Racing was still the only place he felt like himself. The fans noticed. The smile may have dimmed, but the fire in his eyes on race day never went out. Fame in the racing world can be a double-edged sword. For Kye Kelley, that truth hit hard the moment he became a household name in the Street Outlaws universe. What had started as a passion for racing turned into a life under constant public scrutiny, and not all of it was kind. The earliest sign that Kye's image was becoming a target came not from opponents on the strip, but from online critics. Fans on social media dissected everything, from his driving style to his personal life choices. His divorce from Elisa Moat became tabloid fodder. Speculation swirled, with some fans unfairly blaming him for the breakdown of the marriage, even though the real story was far more personal and complicated. When his relationship with Lizzy Musi became public, it brought both admiration and controversy. Some fans accused him of moving on too quickly. Others criticized their on-screen chemistry, claiming it was being overplayed for ratings. In truth, Kye and Lizzy were simply two racers who had found support in each other amid an intense lifestyle. But the deeper Kye got into the world of television racing, the more the politics of reality TV began to take a toll. He faced backlash from other drivers who felt he was given too much camera time. Rumors circulated that producers were biased toward him. Some competitors even alleged his car was given advantages, claims Kye denied outright. He never asked for fame. Kye often said in interviews that he preferred working on his car in silence over being in the spotlight. But by then, the audience expected more than just a racer. They expected drama, commentary, and a TV persona. Kye wasn't interested in being that. He just wanted to win. Outside of TV, legal issues also popped up, though none were particularly serious or scandalous. A few minor incidents involving property disputes and speeding tickets were inflated online, spun into exaggerated headlines that made Kye appear reckless or arrogant. The truth was often far more benign. Despite all of this, Kye kept showing up, kept racing, kept winning. He refused to let the noise define him. But even for someone as tough as Kye Kelley, fame began to chip away at his peace of mind. He became more guarded, less trusting, and increasingly isolated from anyone outside his tight circle. Friends say that the man who once laughed freely at the track became more serious, more cautious, always aware that cameras or gossip might be lurking. And still, he never lost focus on the race. He accepted the dark side of fame not because he liked it, but because it came with the territory. He knew that public adoration often came hand in hand with public attack, and he learned to live with both. Racing has never been a safe sport. And for someone like Kye Kelley, who lives life on the edge of speed and risk, tragedy is always just one misstep away. Over the years, Kye has stared down danger repeatedly, on the track, behind the wheel, and in his personal life. One of the scariest moments in his racing career came during an intense No Prep Kings event in Texas. Kelley was lining up for a high-stakes match when the shocker suffered a mechanical failure mid-race. The car veered dangerously, and for a split second, it looked like he would slam into the wall. Kye regained control at the last second, but the incident shook him to his core. He later admitted in an interview that he felt something was off that day. "It could have been my last race," he said, looking visibly disturbed. Though he walked away physically unscathed, the psychological impact was harder to shake. It was a reminder that every time he strapped into the driver's seat, he was risking everything. But not every racer was so lucky. Kye lost several friends in the street racing world. People like Tyler Flip Pretty, a fellow Street Outlaws original who died unexpectedly in 2013. Though Kye and Flip didn't race on the same team, the death rattled the entire community. Others followed, racers whose names once lit up the screen but were gone far too soon, victims of either accidents or personal battles. The grief of these losses weighed heavily on Kye. Behind his tough demeanor, he's a man who feels deeply. Friends noted that after each loss, he would retreat inward, more focused in the garage, less available outside it. His racing grew sharper, but his spirit carried more weight. When Lizzy Musi's cancer diagnosis was announced, it hit even harder. Here was the woman he loved, his partner in both life and racing, suddenly facing a life-threatening illness.
The roles reversed.
The man who was always taking risks was now watching the person he loved most battle for her life. There were nights, close friends say, where Kye barely slept. He'd race all weekend, only to spend weekdays in hospitals or at home helping Lizzy through treatment. His fear wasn't about losing a race anymore, it was about losing her. Yet through all of this, he stayed strong. Even when tragedy hovered close, Kye Kelley kept moving forward. It's what he knew best: never stop, never stall. By 2024, Kye Kelley had weathered more storms than most racers see in a lifetime. He had tasted victory, endured heartbreak, survived burnout, and stood at the edge of tragedy. But true to his nature, he didn't crumble, he adapted. He rebuilt. That process began in the most literal way, with his car. The Shocker, after years of racing and multiple overhauls, was reimagined with new performance upgrades and a modernized look. Kye wasn't just tweaking parts, he was reinventing himself, using the machine as a metaphor for his own transformation. He also took steps to repair parts of his personal life. Though his relationship with Elisa remained distant, his bond with daughter Kennedy became stronger. Kye made a conscious effort to be more present as a father, flying back home whenever possible and making time for school events and holidays. His relationship with Lizzy Musi, despite the battles with cancer, remained solid. Lizzy, ever the fighter, continued to race in between treatments. The couple posted updates together, often showing strength through vulnerability. Fans rallied around them, offering support and prayers from all over the world. Professionally, Kye began mentoring younger racers. He opened up more during interviews, started sharing his insights and experiences, and helped guide new talent coming into the No Prep Kings scene. It wasn't just about being the best anymore, it was about giving back. There were rumors he considered retiring, especially after a string of emotionally and physically taxing seasons. But every time people thought he'd step away, Kye showed up at the next race, focused, calm, and ready to drive. He didn't need to prove anything anymore. But something inside him still wanted to. As of 2025, Kye Kelley remains one of the most respected names in modern drag racing. He continues to race in No Prep Kings and other events across the country, although he's become more selective about appearances. He's earned his stripes, and now he races on his own terms. Kye has also begun working behind the scenes more, consulting on car builds, offering coaching, and contributing to documentaries about street racing. He's slowly becoming a legend in the community, not just as a racer, but as a symbol of endurance and resilience. He's also healthy. Though he deals with some ongoing back pain and fatigue, he maintains a strong physique and a sharp mind. Years of discipline in racing have taught him how to manage stress, stay fit, and remain mentally focused. His daughter Kennedy is now a teenager, and Kye often posts about her achievements and milestones. For all the fame and trophies he's earned, nothing compares to being a father. When asked about his legacy in a recent interview, Kye said, "I don't care if people remember me as the fastest. I just want them to know I never gave up. Not on racing.
Not on life."
And that sums up everything about Kye Kelley. A man built not just for speed, but for survival. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos about your favorite racers and street legends. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next video.